Real quick, I'm still fighting my cold, so please bear with me. But I had something I wanted to share with you. For those of you who don't know why Disney's Star Wars The Acolyte was canceled, there's an article that tells you why. I know why, and probably you know why, but a lot of people are like, why was it canceled? Well, I'll tell you why after I get through reading this article, if it doesn't tell us already. And how many people in the audience watched The Acolyte all the way through? How many watched like the first episode or so and then just stopped watching it? And if you're hearing this noise in the background, it's my 3D printer. I'm printing a Star Wars Stormtrooper helmet. And if you look at my last video, you can see where it started, and this is where it's at now. This is a day, and that is the top of it. I have it printing upside down, so I don't have to use as much structural supports on it. So that is the Star Wars Stormtrooper helmet, and I'm doing it in black filament just to see what it looks like. I had another one I did in white, but it didn't come out correctly because I didn't know the correct settings on my 3D printer, and it's kind of lopsided. You can see it back there on the shelf. So getting back to the Acolyte, from deadlinenews.com, it says, let me pull it up. Disney executive on why Star Wars series Acolyte was canceled. It wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of that title. Now, the Disney Acolyte was like one of the most expensive shows there was. And so I'm sure they didn't want to have another second season where it was the same amount of money or exceeded that amount of money. Disney is sharing the reason why the Star Wars Universe set series The Acolyte was canceled after only one season on Disney+. In an interview, co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, Alan Bergman, is revealing why it was decided not to move forward with the second season of the series. We were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of that title, quite frankly, to go and make a season 2, Bergman told Vulture. So that's the reason why we didn't do that. Since canceling The Acolyte, Disney Plus has premiered another series in the Star Wars universe, The Skeleton Crew, which is really good. I like it. Bergman says they've seen some growth on that show and noted the series has excellent reviews, adding, so we'll have to see how that all plays out as it moves forward. In terms of the Star Wars franchise, Bergman teased the second and final season of Andor, which we're really excited about, adding, it is excellent. I've watched all the episodes and it is a fantastic season. Bergman also noted the second season of Ahsoka is coming and has a number of additional series that are in development. In addition, the Mandalorian film is dropping in 2026, and more films are also in the development stage. The Acolyte was canceled after one season following an 8-episode run. The series got a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, but divided the Star Wars fan base, reflecting its overall viewership. Initially, the show got off to a strong start when it launched on June 4th, with 2 episodes generating 4.8 million views on its first day on the streamer to rank as the biggest series premiere on Disney Plus that year. The tally rose to 11.1 million views globally after 5 days of streaming. The series debuted on Nielsen's Top 10 Originals chart in its premiere week at number 7. 488 million views viewed, climbing to number 6 the following week. However, the series did not sustain the momentum, dropping out of the top 10 in week 3 and staying off before returning at number 10 after the release of the finale, 335 million minutes, believed to be the lowest for a Star Wars series finale. Star Wars Amanda Stenberg said the Acolyte's cancellation was not a huge shock following the vitriol on social media. There are many folks out there that I want to acknowledge, I want to show appreciation and love and support for. So that's why I'm hoping on here to talk about this, which is that our Star Wars show has been canceled, Stenberg said in a post on Instagram stories. And I'm going to be transparent and say it's not a huge shock for me, Stenberg added. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality, but for those who weren't aware, there's been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept and no one even had seen it. Later, Stenberg said, even though, of course, I'm very sad about the show being canceled, and I'm sad about us not being able to give people invested in it more, I still feel a lot of levity and joy around the fact that I got to experience it and that people loved it and that people were so responsive. So basically, what they're saying is they spent a ton of money on this show and nobody watched it. They watched the first episode and the season finale, but nobody watched it. So it wasn't a lot of viewership in the show. And I guess that's how they make their money. Whereas the Skeleton Crew has a huge viewership and a lot of people are more receptive to it. I guess people like the idea of children. And to be honest, I didn't have vitriol towards the Acolyte. I tried to go in with a mind wide open to watch the show. And it had an interesting concept, but, basically there was no gotcha or mystery to it. You got to find out who the bad guy was within the first 2 or 3 episodes. So that killed all the mystery to it. And then the writing, in my opinion, just tanked. It was good at first, and then it just like crashed, and the character development, there was not a lot, and just basically the show stank. And it's not because of anybody's sexual preference or anything like that. It just, the show was not good. For all the money they put into it, they just didn't, it wasn't good. I would never watch the series again. I watched every single episode, hoping it would get better. I mean, episode 5 was probably my favorite episode. But after that, it just left me feeling hollow and empty. I mean, and frankly, I was just ready to move on to something else. And I was glad I could look forward to seeing the Skeleton Crew. And the Skeleton Crew has not disappointed me so far. I mean, I didn't really go in with much expectations, but it's exceeded my no expectations by a little bit. And the last episode was kind of like a filler episode for, it felt like to me and everybody else who watched the show with me at the time. If we have these shows with quality entertainment, it's going to be a success. And Amanda Stenberg said it herself. She was in her own bubble. She doesn't know, basically, she doesn't know what the Star Wars fans want. If she did, she probably would have done something totally different, than what she did. It didn't hit any of the ticking points for me, they totally revamped some of the canon points for like the lightsabers, and they made Jedi Master seem weak, and another Jedi Master was evil, conniving witch, and she went to go see Yoda. And I don't know, it frustrated me that, they're out there saying, oh, we should have had a season 2, when they didn't deserve a season 2, especially with all the money they spent. So I'm kind of, glad that the Disney shut it down. We can move on to something else. I mean, I guess we voted with our views. Those who didn't want to watch it just didn't watch it. So, however, if you've ever wondered how many Jedi escaped Order 66, you should go to my video right here. It'll tell you how many escaped. I don't know. You'll have to watch the video. It's a good video. And you can see the helmet when I started printing it. And if you like my content, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And remember, the Force will be with you always.